Hey, Stacy. Hey, Jeff. We're doing great here. We're so excited for today's game.
Well, it's going to be a good one for sure.
Well, it's going to be really interesting. Obviously, we have Team Kotter, who's the #1 seed, only playing 4 games, and has a list of experience behind them. And playing Team Longworth, what to expect? I don't know.
Well, Team Longworth comes in a really big role. They've won 5 in a row coming in, beat Dean Jonis and Jason Montgomery in the last 2 games. Really good games. The Longworth foursome, especially the back end of Michael and Marc, have played very, very well. I think the key to the game here is that the Longworth front end can keep up with the Cotter's front end at the beginning of the game, and they'll give the back end a really good chance to make some shots. This is a tough team to beat.
Well, I have to say the weather hasn't really cooperated with the ice conditions out there in the building itself. But the ice crew and the volunteers and everyone have done a fantastic job here of trying to make this building as best as it can be. And I think it is, Jerry. We're playing on sheet B, which is the sheet we're going to be playing for the rest of this weekend. And I think you've had a chance to watch it a little bit.
Yeah, I did. I got a chance to watch the last 2 games on sheet B. It's been just phenomenal. There's been about 5 feet of curl both ways. The speed, which the ice makers are always trying to make sure is really consistent, has been bang on. Starts out at about 14.5 seconds and maintains that right through the game. So I think the conditions are going to lead to a really good game.
I agree. So in the 1-2, we have Team Work, who finished first, and Team Brown will also be in that 1-2 game. And so we're going to be keeping an eye on them for sure. And then in the 3-4 game, we have a young team, Team Daniels. Also, a couple of those girls are still in juniors, and they will be taking on the Brett Richards team. So lots going on out there today. It's going to be really exciting.
Yeah, we'll keep you updated on all the scores the best we can.
Yeah, I think we're ready for the first rock here. So we're excited, and we'll talk to you in a little while.
Good work.
All right, Jerry. So here we are, the first end of the 1-2 game, the 2020 BC Curling Championships. And oh boy, I'm feeling really excited.
Yeah, this is all the players and a lot of people who came to watch this weekend are really looking forward to championship weekend, I guess we would call it. So.
And it's going to be really interesting. One of the things we always talk about, Jerry, is, what do we expect in the first end? And typically we see a lot of the open ends in the first end, especially of an elimination game, so to speak. But this technically isn't an elimination game.
No, you're right, Melissa. Like quite often, you'll see the first end maybe up and down the sheet, lots of takeouts, and I'm sure Jim's team, if that's what happens, will be looking for the blank. Now, Jim's team was awarded last rock in this first in the 1-2 page playoff game with because he came through the A side. So Team Kotter will be starting with last rock, and a nice little hit and roll to the corner there by Rick Sawatsky.
So this is Cam Weir with his second stone here in the first end, and I don't know, I don't believe that Cam has any provincial experience behind him.
I don't think so. I think this is Cam's first here, and it's a pretty good opportunity for Cam to come in and play with the experience of a Marc Longworth right off the bat. So I'm sure he's taking lots in this weekend too, and learning a lot from this event.
So here we go. Rick Sawatsky with his second is actually being asked to throw the corner guard. And I think this is a pretty typical move for Team Kotter.
Pretty close.
This is what we expect. Their first rock, they try to get that rock away from the center line, obviously trying to get it out. Then because it's still out there, they have an opportunity to throw a corner on the other side. So
Yeah, I think the delayed corner guard is what the strategy for that one is called, and just getting rid of the good one in the middle, and now Jim hopes to start to establish some of the play over into the edge, but Marc doesn't really want any part of that, so he's going to be going right back into the forefeit here and make Jim make a play on this rock that he throws in the house.
I was looking at some of the scores through this week. Obviously, that Team Kotter only playing 4 games, but a lot of big scores in those 4 games, and therefore, you know, obviously we know they are not adverse to putting a lot of rocks in play and trying to be very aggressive against their opponents.
Yeah, for sure. I think these great ice conditions lead to that, Melissa. You can, it's very easy to create offense out here with the 5-rock rule, and also with as much curl as we have in the ice and the nice speed that we have. There's no shot that you can't make. So when the people have these conditions, it's a green light to go at it.
Yeah, again, we just really, really want to thank Mike Merklinger and Mike Williams, who have done just once again a tremendous job here with the ice conditions. The players can't ask for anything better when you have ice that's 14 and a half between the hog lines, sometimes even 15, and like you say, curling at least 5 feet. It's just a pleasure for these athletes to be able to play on.
Yeah, we're pretty blessed in BC and Canada to have ice makers that can do a great job like that. So a bit of a hitting game started here. I think the key for the Longworth team is to make sure they hit and stick in the rings. If they roll out here, could give Jim Kotter's team an opportunity to bring that corner guard into play. That's what they're hoping to finally get to as this end progresses.
Same way.
Even though Team Kotter, obviously, they want to try and create a deuce here if they can. They're still going to look to blank if they are able to. They don't want to be forced this first end. They want to set a precedent right off the bat.
Roll big.
Yeah, for sure. And even like this call that they just called now, they're trying to hit and roll behind the one in the top 12 foot. With as much curl as we see in the ice conditions now, a rock at the top of the house is actually a guard in some situations. So. Andrew Nuprin with his takeout there. He's first year with Jim, as Stacey alluded to, and yeah, it's been a good addition to the team. He's a great sweeper and a really good shot maker, and he's fit in very well with the Kotter team.
And Team Longworth, that was Michael Longworth, the third for his dad, and he is. They put on a great show here. They were in some trouble in a game against Montgomery last night, and it looked like Montgomery could potentially steal 3 or 4, and Marc Longworth came up with an unbelievable freeze just to take that end completely away from Montgomery. Like, it's just been, I think that was in the B final.
It was the B final last night, yes.
So it's just been exciting here to watch everybody, and Team Longworth, definitely the underdogs in this game, but they have made a ton of shots so far this week, and I know that they're going to continue to try and do that today.
Close.
So one thing on the Kotter team is you see Steve Laycock throwing third rocks, but Steve is actually the one in the house that calls the strategy. And Kotter made that change partway through the year. They went back and forth with a couple of different combinations, and then they found it really started to work when Steve called the game, but Jim still remained throwing last rock.
Tight.
Yeah, I like the guard. You go in there and he might.
Yeah, I had a conversation with Jim actually about that yesterday, and like, it just shows what an amazing guy he is, what a class act he is. And he said he played one of the best games he could have played, and then made the change. He had a meeting and made that change, and that just shows what kind of guy he is. And you know, doing whatever he needs to do to try and get this team ahead of everybody else.
Yep. So with the rollout there, Team Longworth now has an opportunity to have one in the top of the forefoot, and they put a tight guard on it here. They might get a situation where they force Jim to one in the first end, and that would definitely be one of Marc Longworth's goals for this end. Would be to the force would be a great thing.
The rudder one.
Yeah, this game is all about trying to get these mini advantages or mini wins throughout the game. and hopefully eventually they add up to a victory by the end. So.
Yeah.
You know, if you ever get the force against Team Kotter in this first end, Longworth will be very happy with that and to have Hammer in the second end.
Yeah. You'll notice all the men's teams are very, very aggressive when they have last rock, and it takes a little bit to create offense, and they have to almost put themselves in a bit of a deficit by putting guards up to create that offensive opportunity. But that's the way they have to do it because of the hitting power.
So that was Steve Laycock with his second, just peels off the guard. And Team Longworth still line 1, top 4.
Real nice track. Mike just threw that 320 and no problem.
Good opportunity here for the Longworth team to get a couple draws in too. That's a nice thing they always want to get in the first end. So Mark gets to kind of go down the same path that Michael went down, and just make sure that the rocks are all matched and everything like that very well. So
Line's good. Line's good.
I think Mark's probably one of the most underrated skips in the province too, Melissa. He's been in a lot of, he played for a long time. I played against Mark years ago, and he's continued to play, and long after I did. And everybody in the province has got so much respect for him as a strategist and a shot maker, and he's surely not somebody to be taken lightly.
Oh, I totally agree. And it's kind of interesting that both Mark and Jim from the Vernon Curling Club. So, and there you see the Longworth fans.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's going to be exciting to see how Mark holds up today against this game. But as you know, the winner of this game, the 1-2 game, will go straight into the final tomorrow. The loser of the 1-2 game will actually drop into the semifinal, and that game will be played tonight at 7 p.m. local time here. We are so excited to be here in Cranbrook, and I just can't wait for the day. This is going to be good, Jerry. I'll try and keep you focused if that's okay.
You got it. You notice Jim has the big backswing when he throws the upweight hits. Something that still some teams do, but it's obviously that's can create a lot of power, and you see he's very, very accurate with the big weight hits.
Oh, and there you just see Jim makes a tremendous run back double, and unfortunately it jams on the redstone that was sitting just outside the rings on the right-hand side of the sheet as we look at it there by Michael's feet. So Team Longworth actually still line 1, and if you can put this in the rings, it looks like it could be a force.
Yes, for sure.
Probably wants the same speed,
And you know, in the first end too, they do get a good amount of time to practice, and I'm sure all the players have their draw weight really well. But still, that first end, if Jim has to draw against a couple, it's probably not the best thing for them. But I'm sure he'll be just fine. So again, Mark coming down his the same path pretty well that he threw the guard on his first one.
Line's good.
And this is really one of Mark's strengths is the draw. He's played so well with that all week here.
Clean.
Weight's good.
Clean.
Top 8.
Yep.
With this kind of ice surface, you can definitely get by a guard by 4, 5, 6, 7 inches and have the brushers finish it off. And that's exactly what they did there. What a fantastic shot in the first end here, last rock with Marc Longworth. So no other option here, I think, for Jim Kotter. He's got to pretty much hit the button to score a single.
Yeah, good start for the Longworth team for sure. It's one of the keys to the game that I mentioned is getting off to a good start. So obviously the force here would be a great thing.
Yeah, okay. Close to a 3. Okay.
So you hear the teams talk quite a bit about times that they'll be throwing, and each team has maybe a little bit of a different timing system, but the sweepers will give a number to the skip, and they'll relate that to the speed of the ice in that area. And
Well then.
Wait a little bit. Can't
The
touch
brushers
it yet.
actually haven't really touched this one. Jerry, it heavy right out of his hand.
looked a little bit heavy, yeah.
If he goes, he could be giving up a steal of 1, if not 2 here if this goes through.
Definitely a steal of 1.
And it is a
Slip through.
steal of 2. A very uncharacteristic miss here for Jim Kotter in the first end. That's 2 on the board for Team Longworth. We're going to head to a break and we'll be right back. Welcome back to the 2020 BC Curling Championships here in Cranbrook, BC. Jer, first end.
Well, yeah, it's you don't see that from the Kotter team very often, and I think Marc's kind of thanking the Lucky Stars right now, but he's given a 2-point lead right off the bat, so it puts a little bit of pressure on the Kotter team now, and there's lots of time. This is a 10-end curling game, though, and I think Jim's experienced enough to know that he doesn't have to get a big end right away here. He just has to keep in the game and maybe try to get a deuce.
Good.
Yeah, as I mentioned at the end there, that was a very uncharacteristic miss by Jim Kotter, and he had talked to his sweepers, and there were about, I think, 4 rocks anyways thrown down that exact path, and it probably just got a little bit quicker by the time he threw his rock, and it sounds like the team just maybe didn't make the adjustment. The sweepers didn't even have an opportunity to put a brush to it.
Yeah. No, you always want to engage your sweepers, and they got 2 of the best out there, and Andrew Nuprin and Rick Sawatsky, so they can carry a rock a long way, but the key is probably not overthrow it in that situation. So Marc, with the 2-point lead, obviously goes into the 4-foot on this first one. Jim throws up the corner, and Marc capped the rock really nicely, the rock just short of the rings. And with that 5-rock rule now, Team Kotter can't remove that rock out of play at this point. So forcing the in-turn draw from Rick Sawatsky, and trying to get some rocks in play here. I think this could be an interesting end, Melissa.
I fully agree. And just for the record, I'm going to tell you, Jerry, I was doing some streaming broadcasting with Al Cameron for the National Juniors last week, and I was told we have to say clockwise and counterclockwise now.
Oh, man.
I don't know if it's written in stone, so to speak, no pun intended. However,
Okay.
Can you handle it?
I might miss up on that a few times. Yeah.
Well, I don't think we have any left-handers out there, so we might be okay for this game.
Yeah, we're okay.
So that rock of Rick Sawatsky's just coming top 12, so our opportunity here now for Rob Nobert. Just playing the short run. Would love to keep both his stones in play.
Whoa.
Roll it, roll it, roll it, roll it.
Roll shooter.
And just an over curl.
Yeah, Rob's been to
Like going around
Whitebriar
the
in
corner?
2005 with the Dean Horning team.
Good Kootenai kids.
Kootenai
it
kids, yep.
Like good as normal? Okay, not any quicker here though, eh? Okay.
Good communication there from Rick Sawatsky. He's a really good judge of weight and giving what the conditions are for
We can wait.
Andrew Nuprin's out-turn draw here. Clockwise, counterclockwise rotation.
You'll work on it. You'll work on it.
Pretty close to T line. Back tee.
You can see how much you clear the guard by there, Melissa, and it's still going to be nicely buried in
Good.
behind there. So
Yeah, what a great shot by Andrew. And you know what, a great call by Steve Laycock. He could have easily just tried to make a play on shot rock. But most importantly, he's trying to create an end here. He's trying to build something, so he wants his red stones as far apart as possible, and that's why he did exactly what he did. And I just think that was a brilliant call.
yeah.
Yep.
And we saw all week too, Melissa, like how important it is to on these takeouts to throw exactly the correct weight. With the curtain, as much nice curls we have in the ice, if you ask for like a bumper or a hack weight shot, if you underthrow it a little bit or overthrow it, you definitely don't get the amount of curl you're expecting. So that's how curling ice should be. It's kind of weight sensitive. So if you throw the right weight, you have a good opportunity to make the shot.
That's very true. And you know, Jerry, we were talking to Mike Merklinger yesterday, the head ice tech here, and you know, he was saying obviously when you start an event, the rocks are a lot sharper, and they for a hit there was curling like 4 or 5 to 6 inches, and now it's running perfect.
Yeah.
And you know, both teams obviously making the adjustment and understanding what you need to do to throw the right weight and not needing a lot of ice there. And one of the important things you'll see here today, though, and it is very weight sensitive in terms of when you're calling that lighter hit weight, you want to make sure that you're keeping your shooters in play. So you really want to throw that nice 10.5, 10, 11, somewhere in there to try and keep your shooter in play every single time you throw a hit.
Yeah, for sure. All these teams have got a number of different takeout weights that they use, and depending on which kind of shot they're playing. So good call by Mark here too. He's determined that he probably can't get to that back right one. So with a 2-point lead, he's just going to peel the guard off, and Jim may still have an opportunity here for 2, but still a few rocks to come. Mark's hoping he can maybe get a double or something in here to sneak out of this end without giving up 2.
Yeah, that was a great call, definitely, by Mark. So Steve Laycock making his way down here. He calls the game and throws third stone. So just looking to pretty much hit and stick where he is, keep his rocks, you know, as far apart as possible, as we mentioned, and try and keep the 2 alive here.
Yeah, Steve is the designated import, I guess we would call it, Melissa, from Saskatchewan. Teams are allowed to have one player from out of province on the team. They have to go through a little bit of paperwork, I guess you would call it, to make sure that person's eligible. And Steve obviously has played a lot of years out of Saskatchewan, and definitely one of the top skips there.
Yep.
And a great addition to the Kotter team.
Nice weight, Steve.
A nice hit and weight. Does give Mark a little bit of an opportunity here for Michael to either hit and make the double or at least roll over into that same area and try to group the rocks together.
Firm 10. Whoa.
9-8.
Close. Yes, Cam. Yes. Whoa.
No. It's straight here.
Rob. No.
Good brushing there by Rob Nobert to keep that rock in the rings. They thought it was running a little straight at that point.
Same shot for Steve, and he always, all players like to have the repeat shots and the same shot as they had in the last one, so I'm sure he'll be pretty close on this, and they would like to roll outwards maybe a couple feet or something here to try to take a bit of that double away.
Whoa! Clean! Whoa! Yep! Yep.
Nice hit weight, about a 10-6, and you alluded to the different timing systems that teams are using. When we talk about the 10-second hits or the 11-second hits, so that's the time that the rock travels between the hog lines, and a lot of teams seem to use we call it the hog-to-hog times, when they get times in between there so they know where the rock's going to go. For draw weight, you hear teams using the 10-point system. They're calling out numbers like 5-zone or 6-zone. Those are those numbers or zones, pardon me, from hog line to back line, where zones 1 to 3 are above the house, and then 4, 5, 6 is the top of the house, and 7 is T-line, and so forth and so forth. So we also heard, I think when Jim Kotter threw, he said a 3, and I believe that was a split time that he was using.
Yeah, those would be the time from either the back line to the to the hog line, or the T line to the hog line, depending on how they time it. But they'll get a time from that, and then they can use that as a guide for judging the weight.
Yes!
Oh, nice roll by Marc. He's trying to group those stones together, and I think he ended up leaving that rock pretty well behind the top one. So a bit of a decision time for Jim now, if he wants to run the double back or if he wants to draw into that area. So running it back, he may not leave his shooter in the rings. To make the double, he wouldn't leave his shooter in the rings. So yeah, he's decided to draw here. Still a good opportunity to get one around. That rocket in the top 12-foot, lots of room to get around it and get one buried. He maybe doesn't even want to go right down to the back one, because if you can get one a little bit above the T-line in there, so Marc can't freeze to hit himself.
Like T-line top for berries, real good.
Yeah, you heard Jim just telling his brushers, T-line buried is good. As you said, Jerry, does not need to be frozen to that back one, because there is lots of room there for Marc to freeze on top of that. And as I said earlier in the show, I saw Marc make a ton of freezes yesterday, even in that game. So you don't want to leave him too much right now. He is in his game.
He's dialed in.
He's dialed in.
Yeah.
A little bit line.
Puppy!
So Jim Kotter with that miscue
Hard
in
line!
the first, and with his draw, throwing it through the rings. These guys are
Hard
brushing
line,
it, Rick and Andrew. Brushing it hard for line right now. Weight's pretty good if they can get it by.
Oh, they did get it by, too.
What a superior brush by Rick and Andrew, pillar to post. Good shot by Jim Kotter.
Yeah, I think he can help or thank his sweepers a little bit on that one.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It does leave Marc the fairly short run back, but he also has to worry a little bit about jamming it on the back one. But Marc's pretty smart here. He's decided to hit the outside one, take all of that possible jam out of play, and maybe roll one in on top of his own for shot rock.
Just 10. Try to hit and roll in, guys. Any kind of draw freeze might set up a double.
Okay. Same kind of weight?
Yeah, kind of 10.
Yeah.
So you heard Marc
Probably
say he
you
wants to
can,
throw
so
about a
clean.
10 there. Again, that's the time between hog lines. Just a nice soft weight. Would love to get a roll towards the center, towards the 4-foot, and preferably get shot rock if you can.
Slap!
Really put a ton of pressure on Team Kotter here.
Come on, Cam. Keep going.
overgrowled a little bit on him, and gives Team Kotter now the opportunity to get that deuce back, which is always a great thing to kind of answer when you give up a deuce, to come back with a deuce right away. So good end by Kotter. He kept the out-turn draw path open the whole way, and that's what he's got to score his 2 points.
All 3 team members doing some house cleaning there just to make sure there's no issues with the draw path. We've watched a lot of games here, Jerry. I don't think we've really seen any picks.
No, not very few at all. No, it's a.
Same here.
I think the curlers are very aware of the fact that they make sure that they have good grippers on and clean up the path after themselves. So it's.
So here we go. It's the last stone for Jim Kotter here in the second end. He is drawing to the 4-foot for 2 to tie this game up.
Yeah. Just going out just a little bit wider on this one. Just wants to kind of take that guard that he came around on his first one of the play, and he's basically just trying to basically draw the button on this one.
Never heavy. Right to the button.
You heard him say never heavy, so that means the sweepers have some playroom there. That was a 15-second rock from hog to hog. That's just absolutely perfect drawing conditions.
Wow.
And, yep, make no mistake, Jim Kotter with his draw to the 4-foot puts 2 on the board and ties this game up after 2. It's going to get good. We're excited.
Yeah. We're going.
We will be right back for the 2020 BC Curling Championships 1-2 game. And welcome back to the 2020 BC Curling Championships. I am Melissa Sligo, joined here by Jerry Richard. Jerry, first 2 ends, pretty exciting so far.
Yeah, pretty good locks in play. I didn't think we would be going up and down the sheet with lots of hits with his 2 teams. Yeah, we're into it right away. Without Hammer, obviously, Team Kotter decided to throw center guard up, and Marc's wasting no time to go around it. So.
Yeah, both teams very happy to start going after each other here and playing a bit of a cat and mouse game. You know, these 2 teams haven't played each other very much over the course of the number of years, but I think this season, maybe only 2 times that they have met.
Yeah, they have met twice this year, and Team Kotter won both of those games. One of the games was in Kelowna in the Cashbill, and the other game was in Kamloops, and Kotter won both of those games. So just we have a quick update on some of the other games going on. In the other men's 3-4 game, Team Tardy, who started with Hammer, they blanked the first end, and Tardy took one in the second, so Tardy's up 1-0 on Montgomery. And Melissa's going to give us an update on the ladies' side.
Yeah, we have the 1-2 game going on, Team Brown versus Team Work. It is a 1-0 lead after 2 for Team Work. And in the 3-4 game, we have Team Daniels with a 2-1 lead over Team Richard. So we'll keep our eye, obviously, on those games as we get going here. So we are now in the third end. And here are some to the team stats we were referring to. And those are the Kelowna, or the Team Kotter versus Team Longworth over the course of the season. And as you can see, Team Kotter 2-0 over Longworth. Their stats, though, overall, Jerry, pretty close, I would say.
Yeah, I think one of the big things you always look for is points for and against. And, you know, Kotter has an average of 7.5 points for against and 5.7 against. And on the other side with the Longworth team, they've given up a few more points in the spiels than they've taken. So now we're looking at here with that rock being just short of the rings, they're just going to get someone to determine whether the rock is touching the rings. If it is in the rings, they would be able to remove that stone. But if it's not in the rings, it will be in the free guard zone and not be able to take out of play. So they're just going to have someone have a quick look at that.
So this is an official timeout where both clocks will be stopped so that the official can come and have a look. And as Jerry said, with the 5 rock free guard zone, the first 5 rocks cannot be removed from play. Opposition stones, you can remove your own. But Team Longworth looking to see if they can remove that red stone that's just maybe or maybe not biting the top 12. And we'll have a look here. And I think the determination is it is out of the ring. So Team Longworth is not able to remove that rock from play. So they need to, this is Cam Weir. He's going to be throwing the intern clockwise, draw it towards the center line.
Yes.
It's going to catch on. I get it. You're gonna be a pro at this soon.
I'll get it eventually. Yeah.
Rob!
Important for Longworth to get one in there, even if they don't get to be able to move it and get shot rock. They definitely have to get something out of this one. And Cam just maybe a little bit light on this one and over curled, so a little bit of an advantage here for Team Kotter now to get something going and put a little bit of pressure on the Longworth team.
It'll finish.
Yeah, a bit of a mistake there for Cam. Unfortunately, as you said, it's just light, so it's pretty busy in terms of the path towards the center line right now. Obviously, with the way the ice curls, you can get to the 4-footer to the button still. But for Team Kotter, just a slight advantage right now. They're sitting top 4 with a lot of rucks out in front. So it's going to take a 1 or 2 good shots by Team Longworth to try and clean this mess up.
Okay.
Andrew's out, maybe a little bit outside on that one. It kind of just hung for a little bit on that outside edge. And so Mark understands that he's got to make sure he clears a path here. So he's going to run this back and try to open up both sides of the sheet so he's not limited to just play down one side.
And that's such a good point, Jerry, is you need to have access on your last shot to get to the 4-foot somehow. And right now, even on second stones, Mark doesn't have anything.
Right.
Well, that was a great shot by Rob Nobert. He moved a lot of rocks there.
Yeah, he got the one out of from behind the guard, and he also left his own stone in front of the rings, which could possibly be used later on too.
Okay. Same run though.
That was a great shot, and of course, you know, you have to look at where his shooter ended up. It ended up on the left-hand side there, about 5 feet out, and there's absolutely zero way in on the left-hand side of the sheet right now.
Yeah.
Without having to play a tap.
This line looks a little bit better for Andrews. draw here. Maybe just a little bit lighter though, and you see how
Good
much
spot.
curl there is late. And once you start losing line on those shots, it surely doesn't take long for it to be over curled.
That's what you'll see most teams doing. You're gonna want to see them. They don't want to jump stones, Jerry, but they definitely want to get on a rock early enough that it holds the line out there as much as possible. Because once it hits the break point, the point in which the rock starts to curl at its most, once it makes that move, it's really hard to control it.
Yeah, it's never coming back.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's just continuing. So.
Touch it.
Okay.
Well, cleared up a couple guards up front there. Still gives Team Kotter a chance to maybe hit and roll underneath. And with that center guard up there, again, he can put a bit of pressure on Team Longworth here with a nice roll. Steve
Yep.
is
Yes! Clean!
Oh!
Clean!
Yup!
Yes!
Yup!
Good.
So they're on and off that one all the way down, and they went hard early trying to keep it straight. Maybe Steve being a little bit tight, but it ended up pretty good, almost maybe a couple inches over rolled.
over curled just a little bit there, yeah. So just Mark a little bit of a chance here. He can maybe get rid of both of those rocks with
See if we can stick
hitting
with the
a
roll.
half or a third of a rock. He may lose his shooter as well, but
Those rocks are those are hard to call, Jerry,
Get
those
the
hit and
front.
rolls. And
oh yeah.
you know, on any kind of ice, but like on ice that, you know, if you lift your broom for a second, it's going to take off on you. So it's really, really
Yes!
tricky
Yes!
Yeah.
to make those perfect hit
Yes!
and rolls.
Yes! Yes!
Going
one's
hard to
getting
get this
awful
one by,
close.
yep.
Yeah, awful close to the center line there.
Well, that makes it a little interesting, kind of rolling partly behind that corner guard, so it might cause Jim to play out in that area, and then maybe
Nose
give Mark
probably
a
needs
chance
a
on his last
double.
one to get, or his first one to get one in there.
Roll back here's not bad. We like board? How does that look?
Some great information there from Jim Kotter, just letting Steve know that if they happen to nose this rock, he thinks that it would leave the double. He doesn't want to do that, obviously. So a hit and roll, you know, even if it rolls behind the tee line, that's fine as long as it's in that same line as the other two red stones.
Yeah.
Whoa. Whoa.
So you almost want to be aggressive on this roll. You don't want to leave it anywhere where you can give up the double.
That's right.
Whoa. Good
Exactly
spot.
what you said.
What
Wes.
a
It is-
fantastic shot.
It's
Yeah.
probably better back there than where he left it for sure.
Yeah. Great shot by Steve Laycock, and just a terrific call by Jim Kotter. So Marc Longworth just having a look here. He knows that he's in a little bit of trouble, and the key for him, though, he does have access to the forefoot if he needs it, but is there a way that he can access that one that's just biting the side button there? And I think that's what he's going to do. Maybe about a hack weight.
Yeah, I think that's what he called hack weight, and if he can just bump it out and kind of stay in front of the other red one, may cause a little bit of issues for Jim to get it out of there.
No, 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 no! No, no!
Looking like lots of room right now.
More boardish.
Yeah, you can just heard it. I was just going to say, it looks like it's a little bit more weight than hack.
Yeah.
Real hard. Nice, Mike.
That works. Nice shot by Marc Longworth.
Control for the ring. Might come out of there.
Jim now with the intern clockwise rotation. He probably might even want to hit and stick out in the wings here, Melissa. If he rolls in, try to in behind that guard now, he's going to be coming in behind the tee line. And two rocks there, I think you might see Mark look at drawing down to that. So possibly hit and roll out in this, stay in the wings.
I think that's a great point, Jerry. Team Kotter has had the advantage for the majority of this end, so the last thing you want to do
Whoa.
is
Yes!
do something to give up a skip's deuce here. So
For sure.
Okay.
That one overcurled a little bit on them. Maybe they were a little bit fooled on the ice. I'm not sure, but he was still laying one.
maybe we could borrow his binoculars.
I have some.
There's a good look at it.
Correct.
I also just want to take a moment here to thank Rick O'Neill and Christine Knight. They are the co-chairs of this 2020 event and have done just
He
a
was just here,
terrific
right?
job
Just
hosting
for it,
us here
so-
this week, and done all their volunteers have just put on a wonderful, wonderful event.
Ideally.
Okay.
Just,
Yeah, it's
Some
been
positive
top notch for
just
sure,
keep the
Melissa.
blank
Yep.
alive.
You bet.
He can freeze if we roll under, eh?
Okay.
So it looks like Mark's throwing the hit. He could also throw the freeze as well on his first and try and, you know, if he happened to get a miss out of Jim Kotter on his last, he'd be set himself up for two. But he's throwing the hit, trying to get a
Still going
roll
backwards.
under,
bored.
or is
No,
it
I
roll
think,
away?
I think he's trying to roll away.
Boy, try and
Yeah.
get a blank, keep the blank alive here.
Yeah, Mark was mentioning, he says if we roll underneath, he can freeze to us. So that's a really good shot by Mark, and
Fabulous.
by doing that, he's unless Jim can roll right to that spot that he's got right there, Mark should have an opportunity to
Just
blank this one.
same weight as Mike's.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Jim Kotter with his last stone here in the third end. It's a tie game, 2-2, with Team Longworth having hammer. And, you know, I just go back to that shot by Marc Longworth. Like, again, that shows the brilliance of his skipping ability and his tactical ability. You know, most teams would want to hit and roll under and try and force the issue. But, you know, with Marc, he's so happy to keep the blank alive here and try and get a blank out of this end. I just
sure,
think it's
yeah.
great.
Yeah, and trying a lot of teams will develop a little bit of their strategy or game or end plans around the fact that trying to score in the even ends too, Melissa, like this being the third end, if he can carry the hammer into the fourth is something that good skips always look for.
So last rock here to come. End number 3, Marc Longworth looking for the blank.
Hard. Hard. Hard!
Rob is working really hard on this one, trying to get there. I don't hear too much, so I was thinking it was going to be a nose. So not what Team Longworth wanted, but there is one more on the board, so it is now 3-2. Team Longworth over Team Kotter in the 1-2 game here in Cranbrook. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the 2020 BC Men's Curling Championship presented by New Floors Penticton. We are so excited to be here in Cranbrook, BC. We are watching the 1-2 game right now. It is Team Kotter versus Team Longworth. Team Longworth with that little bit of a mistake in the third end. They really wanted the blank, but they hit and stuck, got their point, takes a lead.
Yeah, my old skip Rick folks said you never miss a blank by missing it. If you make noise at the other end, if you take one, it's never all that bad.
That's right. That's right.
He still has the lead. So, and we saw even in the second end, Team Kotter ignored a rock and threw the corner guard. So that's what they've done again. So again, lots of rocks coming in play. I think Melissa this. So we have the stats after 3 ends, and Cam Weir, lead for Team Longworth, is playing at 70%, and he'll be looking to pick that up just a little bit. He had a couple of shots the last end that kind of overcurled a little light on him. So
Better line, better line.
Cam's had a pretty good week so far, and yeah, as you say, Jerry just wants to keep those stats. He's, as you mentioned, he's
Coming.
in difficult here with playing position to position against a Rick Sawatsky, who's been here so many times.
yeah, he's against one of the best for sure. So yeah, for sure. And just to compare the leads position, Rick Sawatsky is playing at 91%, and those are kind of numbers that we're used to seeing from Rick for sure. Now with the 2 rocks in the rings, I think, and the one in the forefoots, they're going to look at play the takeout, try to move these rocks out of the forefoot area, and eventually get to play around that corner guard.
Shot.
And almost makes a perfect roll, so great shot by Rick Sawatsky there.
Mark would like to kind of hit and roll back to the center line area, take the play away from that corner guard. Second Rob Norbert is playing at 91% so far after 3 ends, so having a good game so far, and he's also up against a tough competitor, Andrew Nuprin there. So
that one just rolls out of the rings for Rob Norbert, an over curl. So with that opportunity, it does give Andrew Nuprin and Team Kotter the chance to draw around the corner guard now. They're going to ignore that stone that's sitting on the button.
Another corner's not bad, right?
yeah, this is a good call. You put up a corner guard for a reason, Melissa, and you see some teams put up corner guards and they don't use them. So anytime you get that opportunity right now, with even though Team Longworth has one in the forefoot, they're looking to deal with that one a little bit later. Andrew Nuprin, second for Team Kotter, playing at 91% as well.
I didn't add though.
Some good
We're
numbers
pretty
for
close.
sure by both teams.
We're like,
For Jim and Rick, really haven't laid a broom to this one by Andrew. Needs to slow down. And it looks like it's going to just slide out the back. I don't know if it's in, if we just have to see the overhead there. Ooh, it's close.
It's close again, yep.
Mark is going to, can't tell if he thinks that was in or not, but he looks like he's going to ignore it, and he's going to throw the come around draw the corner guard and try and choke off the corner from Team Kotter being able to use it again.
Yep, this is the key here now. Obviously, if you're going to go around these corner guards, you establish it high in the rings. The last thing that Team Longworth wants is to come around that corner guard and come in behind the tee line.
Exactly.
That would really create good offensive chances for Team
No, a lot
Kotter.
of room.
I heard the front ends or the sweepers saying that it's back 8, as you just alluded to, Jerry. You don't really want it to be deep. That just gives a little advantage to Team Kotter.
Yep.
So that didn't curl anywhere near, I think Mark was thinking. So a couple options here, I think, for Team Kotter. They could obviously hit and roll or play the double.
make sure to stick around.
They could
No,
actually
you
just
need to stick
draw
around.
to the one that was just thrown by Team Longworth. They could tap and roll behind the corner
Go on the
guard.
left.
Yeah, there's quite a few
There's
options.
quite a few options.
I like this one at this point now.
Me
Maybe
too.
get rid of the good one, and really, if he can just roll over behind that corner guard area, that's where the play is going to start to develop, and that's the area of the ice that Team Kotter wants to play in. So.
Whoa! Whoa!
And what a great shot,
shot
by
by Andrew.
Fabulous shot. Makes up for that first one just slipping through the rings there, or maybe through the rings.
Yep.
Here's a replay. What good brushing by Jim Kotter. Not bad for a skip.
Yeah, I know.
No, no, no!
98.
Yes, yes, Cam! Yes! Whoa!
This is Marc Longworth. Trying to get the hit and roll, but gets the hit and stick.
Yep. Michael's got good numbers right now. Melissa playing at 95%
Wow.
after 3 ends. So.
And he's in tough playing head-to-head against Steve Laycock, who got experience versus young guy there.
Yeah.
But he's keeping, holding his own after 3. That's fantastic.
Yeah. What a training and learning experience for Michael too, to play with his dad for this length of time, and they've been together for quite a number of years now playing, and he's sure learning a lot from his dad, and you can see a lot of the things are rubbing off on Michael that Marc's giving him. Steve Laycock, good numbers for Steve as well at 91%.
Whoa!
Just kicked a little bit of an inside flop here, or just over curl a little bit if he could.
Hard swat. Hard.
Rick trying to get some movement out of it, and now we don't know if that one was in or not, Jerry.
Well,
And that's okay.
It's not now.
Yeah, maybe just a little extra weight thrown by Steve Laycock on that one. So
Yeah.
pretty much open end now.
I think Marc's probably looking to hit and roll to the open side again here. Melissa going
Good
behind
10,
the corner
9-8.
guard would just create offensive chances for Kotter. So
I agree.
Give it a
just
try.
looks like it's maybe just hanging out a little bit on him there. And got a few kind of uncharacteristic misses this end. It's been a little sloppier than we'd expect. There's been some rollouts and some draws that haven't really got into the right spots. So.
Like that?
So a great opportunity here for Steve and his team. Would love to get one fully buried behind that corner guard. Again, he threw the corner guard, and he'd love to be able to use it. And just with that hit and roll out by Marc Longworth, opportunity presented itself. So we'll see how Steve does here.
Hey, whoa then. Whoa. Through.
And another heavy draw. That's the third one, I believe, by Team Kotter as a group.
Yeah, Andrew was deep there too. So yeah.
Yeah, Jim Kotter in the first end, and both Andrew and Steve in this end. So that's not going to benefit you in any way. And again, both teams played lots here, and ice conditions are fantastic. They haven't really changed here in the last 3, 4, 5 days. And obviously, both teams needing to make a bit of an adjustment.
Yes, just throw them a little lighter.
Is that the key to success?
Could be. So Marc here, like a lot of people might think, well, I can go around that corner guard and
Couple options for him to come
maybe
off
force
ours
the
if we don't
Kotter
make
team
right
to
on it.
one,
Oh, I
but
like this.
he still realizes going around that is not going to create a steal opportunity. So Marc's going to go to the open side, allow Jim to probably look at blanking this end, and anytime you got a 1-point lead and the other team blanks it, you still got that control point at this point. So I don't think you'd see Jim ignore this stone now if Marc puts it in the back 4-foot area.
And I think that's the key too, Jerry, is you don't really want to be top 12, top 8, even top 4, where Jim could potentially get a hit and roll behind that corner guard. So anywhere, we don't usually say you want it behind the ring or behind the tee line, but in this situation, probably deeper the better.
For sure, yeah. So one of the keys here for Jim, obviously, he's got to hit and stick. Obviously, if he was to roll out in this situation, Marc would use the corner guard on his last one to try to force 1 point. And a lot of times I think, Melissa, the key to teams' success is making the easy shots. Just like these shots right here where you hit and stick and draw to the right portion of the rings or whatever. It's the easy shots that really add up. If you've missed them, you get yourself in trouble. So playing lots of easy shots and making lots of easy shots is the key.
I love that point, Jerry, because it is so very true that, you know, we focus so hard when it's a double run back for 2 that you have to make, but you have to use that same intensity and the same processes and routines that you go through on every shot. You have to do that, even on those open hits, open draws. That's such a great point.
Yeah, for sure.
Mine's gonna move a little more.
And that's when I know a lot of the coaches and that now are really starting to preach about technical excellence. And the way that you throw the curling rock, it has to be the more perfect you can throw the rock, the more chance of success you have shot in and shot out.
I think mine will move a little more.
Not sure if there'd be an opportunity here for Marc. I guess if he could roll maybe a little bit toward the corner guard and only give Jim the opportunity to throw just the out-turn peel for the blank. Going hard on this one right away.
Yeah,
so.
Marc was a little tight out of his hand. I think he got to center very quickly. So just trying make sure they get a piece. Job done. That's okay.
Soft.
Yep.
And even now, even though this is just a throw through for the blank, Jim's going to look at a piece of ice that he hasn't maybe seen yet at a certain weight. Maybe he knows as this game's going to progress, maybe he'll be peeling quarter guards or something in this one spot. So he's going to have a good look at the piece of ice here. And every time you throw a rock down the ice, you're always learning from it. It's always giving you information for later ends. So always something getting something out of every shot.
That's right. You're always learning, always going to school on the ice conditions. So it is a blank on the board here in the 4th end. It continues to be Team Longworth with a slight advantage, 3-2 over Team Kotter. Please don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the 2020 BC Curling Championships presented by New Floors Penticton. We are in Cranbrook, BC at the Western Financial Place. Melissa Saligal with Jerry Richard. Jerry, you know, we were expecting some rocks in play in that fourth end. Ended up being a blank.
Yeah, I think it was a little bit more of the misses that kind of determined that we ended up with the blank. The teams wanted to mix it up a little bit. Kotter showed definitely he wanted to throw up the corner guard and get some rocks in play. But again, good opportunity here in the fifth end. Corner guard's going up again.
And as we have mentioned, we've got lots going on here in the arena. We've got the women's 1-2 game. It is currently Team Work over Team Brown, 2-1 after 4. They're playing in 5 as we speak. And the 3-4 game, Team Daniels has a 3-1 lead over Team Richards, and they are also in the fifth end.
And in the men's 3-4 game, the Tyler Tardy team, they stole one in the third end, and then the fourth is blanked. So it's 2-0 for Tardy over Montgomery, playing the fifth end with Montgomery having last rock.
So far, just to recap the first couple of ends of this game, Jerry, it you know, very unusual to see. I believe it's at least 3 times that we've seen 3 draws of Team Kotters actually go right through the rings. They didn't even let the sweepers put a brush to it.
It doesn't seem like it's any quicker to us in the times that we're getting. So it might be just a little bit of the adrenaline going a little bit and throwing a little harder kind of thing. So,
Just control.
But they're going to get dialed in here pretty quick. I think these teams can both draw very, very well. So,
yeah, both teams, you know, already as we alluded to, the percentages are extremely high. Majority of them out there are 90% or better.
Right.
Team Longworth just playing extremely well. And Team Laycock, or Team Kotter, pardon me, just really trying here to try and figure out how they can get a deuce on this Team Longworth.
Yep. So good on that last shot. Instead of Laycock trying to play the double, he just tried to run it straight back on the other one and stay in front of the Longworth stone. So this is going to cause for Longworth to pass it out of there. He's probably almost going to have to roll out of the rings or make a liar out of me.
I was just going to say, I'll let you just walk into that one.
And make it perfect. So
yeah, he had a beautiful, beautiful hit weight where he had the ability to save his shooter. What a great shot.
Yeah.
It was a terrific shot by Rob.
So Steve's just going to hit this outside one, try to roll over in the same area, maybe group them together, either create some kind of a pocket as the end progresses, maybe to create offense, or eventually his number one thing is going to try to get around that corner guard as the end progresses.
Whoa. Close. Yep. Hi, Jimmy.
You hear him saying hard, Jim. Jimmy's trying to save the shooter, and unfortunately it's going to roll out. So we may see Mark walk up here, and he is. He's going to peel the corner guard. Veteran move.
Yep, after 5 rocks have been played, rocks can be removed from the free guard zone.
Yes!
Hard on the roll. Whoa.
And it looks like Rob just going to roll to another corner guard here. There's a little tighter. So not what he
may
wanted.
have rolled to a better one.
A better one. I was just going to mention.
The other one was maybe a little bit long and a little bit too far over to the side. So.
Okay. Just a little less than the last one? Yeah. Okay. Close.
Good to see Jimmy after all those years of skipping, still being a very effective sweeper out there. He works very hard, in the physical part of the game, and he's in great shape. So he had no problem going from skipping to jumping into that position to sweep rocks as well. So
definitely, and obviously Jim plays mixed doubles with his daughter Jaylyn, and the two of them are a fierce combination when it comes to mixed doubles. And he's got to keep up with the kids, so he's got to be in shape.
Yeah.
Easy, off.
Rob.
Trying to get this one to curl a little bit.
And if this rolls out, which it's going to do, it's a little slight advantage here now for Team Kotter. They can draw around the corner guard. And, you know, still trying here to manufacture a deuce here in the 5th end.
Haven't really seen this out-turn draw coming down this part of the sheet yet, Melissa. We played more or less the in-turn in the 1st and 3rd ends there, so.
And the out-turn is the
counterclockwise.
Counterclockwise. All right. I know Al Cameron's listening and Bill Shearhart, so make sure.
Just doesn't seem right.
I know, but, you know, what if there's a lefty out there? We got to do something.
Not full 8. Not 4. Get a room.
All right, so this is Steve Laycock
Room.
with his first here in the
Well,
5th.
so room. Nerps in.
Really likes to get this in a good spot, fully buried behind the corner guard.
Let me know when.
Team Longworth
Yeah,
will either have to play the freeze or even the run, depending
Yeah.
on where it stops. But it looks like it's got a lot of curling to do. I think it might be wide open there, Jerry.
Yeah, I think
Weight was perfect.
took his time coming just a little bit. Mark kind of indicating he wants bumper weight, so that would be a takeout weight that would go just a little bit past the hacks, maybe 4 to 6, 8 feet past the hacks.
10-2.
No,
Good board.
no, no.
Firm
no.
board.
10-2.
You
No.
heard the number
Polish.
10-2. It's a full
No.
board.
Rob, Rob. Rob.
Michael might have been just a little full, but thinking the weight might be up just a smidge.
Yep.
That's a pretty good shot. Maybe an over panic.
Yeah, you can put a lot of excitement into the open takeout still. With it.
Yeah, 10
One thing also with this ice, Melissa, that's so important is rotation. It's one of the things that we see that I think a lot of teams are really starting to develop more rotation on in their practices and in their game approach, and it really is so important to get that. Probably most teams are looking about between 3 and 4 rotations now between the hog lines. And kind of the rock reacts much more natural. If you really cut your rotations down on this ice conditions,
Whoa!
you really bring into the fact that rock can just curl
Whoa!
so hard at the end that it's almost
Whoa!
uncontrollable. So
That's right. I mean, we've already talked about the fact that
What?
once
No,
it hits
no,
the
no,
break
no, no.
point or the curling point, you have no hope as a sweeper to try and do anything with it. So if you add the rotation piece to it, it just makes it so difficult.
for sure, nice roll there by Steve.
Really great shot by Steve. He was a little frustrated on his first one because it didn't react completely the way he thought it would, but makes no mistake on his second one here. And now Marc Longworth looking to play the short run back. Would love to stick it and force Jim Kotter maybe to have to do the same thing or something similar. So what a great shot bounce back from Steve
It'd be
Laycock.
center line anyway. For ice. I like to run, Mike. If we just touch it or just feather our guard.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I like this. Just firm.
Yeah. 9-5.
Mark probably doesn't have the ability to throw the 7-second peels
inch
that
more,
maybe
Mike?
Jim does, but that
Yeah.
surely doesn't mean that he can't make these run backs. It's a lot of it is not about how hard you hit the rock; it's where you hit the rock, and Mark really understands how his rocks react, and he'll throw a little bit less
Whoa.
on these run backs than most,
Whoa.
but he's
Whoa.
very good at these shots as well.
Help it out, buddy. Help it out, buddy.
So Cam really trying hard to get some movement on this one. And will they get it out?
Go.
What
Keep
a
going, Mike. Keep going, Mike.
shot.
Keep going. Good.
Great throw by Marc Longworth. Great brush. And just squeaks it out the back end there.
Still a chance here for Jim. The corner guard's in a pretty good spot. Not a lot of risk here. He can get one around up in the
shade
kind
more.
of top 8 foot in that area. Put the pressure back on Mark again.
What was interesting about that, Jerry, is you saw the team yelling at Mike Longworth to sweep that redstone that's sitting in back of the house there. They don't want that to be close enough where if it were to jam it, that it would still be in the rings, right? They want to make sure that that rock was
Yep.
all the way pushed out, and that was a really good call.
Yep. Oh, this is.
So here we go, Jim Kotter with his first here in the 5th end. Trying to get this one fully buried, and it doesn't have to be above the tee line. I think the most important thing here is the line. And again, I don't know, the brushers haven't laid a broom to it. And we didn't get a time on this one, but it doesn't sound like Jim's too happy with it. It will stick in the rings, back 12. But it didn't have a chance to, with that extra weight, just didn't have the chance to make the break.
Yeah, no. Kind of it gave away a little bit of an opportunity there to get a deuce, but probably still going to keep the blank and play. Marc doesn't have too much area to roll there to bury. There's a small opportunity for him to roll buried and maybe force him for one.
Right on the bean.
I like to hit 2/3 and roll dead left. We can roll against the red.
Okay.
I've got it at 9-5, guys.
So Marc talking, he's got a
should
little
hook
bit
in
of a
there nice, right?
kicker on the outside one there that he can roll up
I just
against
think
and maybe
10-45.
save his shooter.
Yeah.
So looking to hit maybe 2/3 of this rock. He's going to throw, he doesn't throw a little bit more weight, so the rock kind of can roll a little bit higher. And might be able to stick one in behind here.
Hard! Whoa, walk!
Little firm.
Rob, go!
Oh yeah, it's way out there.
And you just heard they were trying to roll underneath, obviously, and it rolls out. So another blank attempt here, just a throw through for Jim Kotter. And you know, Team Kotter right now just having a few struggles here to try and manufacture a deuce here.
Yeah, the ice conditions are great. I think the teams are, for some reason, and I don't know why, are just kind of overthrowing them. They've got great sweeping. Both teams do, and they're not really using the sweeping to the full advantage that they have in this game.
So as this rock makes its way through the rings, it is 5 ends of play in the books. It is currently Longworth 3, Team Kotter 2. And there we go, blank on the board. So we are going to head back to Stacy, Jeff in the Czech studio. Here we are, Stacy, Jeff, how you guys doing? All right, thanks, Stacy. Thanks, Jeff. We're so excited about here to have Marc Longworth join us after the 5 ends of play. He's got a 3-2 lead. Marc, how you doing?
I'm doing just fine, thank you.
You got a slight lead out there. You guys are making a ton of shots.
Yeah, it's been fun so far, and the guys are still pretty loose, so we're just enjoying it, and we'll just try to keep running with it, and we know Jim's going to be tough out there.
Yeah, Marc, Jerry here. One thing you've done very well this week is had really good control of the ice conditions. You've made some fabulous shots, some freezes to save ends for your team. Those conditions are still the same, even though I think we've seen a couple teams have been a bit deep on some shots. You're just going to make little adjustments in the second half to make sure those rocks are in the right spots.
That's our goal is to certainly outposition the opposition, and it's tough with Jim. Try to keep control of the top of the house, but he's going to throw the corner early and he's going to go. So if we don't get that top of the house control, we'll be chasing. And we got out of a couple ends there, but and that was Jim a little heavy, but in the last end in 4, Steve. So yeah, the ice is still running pretty much the same. I think guys are just maybe just a little excited.
All right. Well, thank you, Marc. We wish you the best of luck in the last 5. We are going to head into a commercial break. Please come back. The last 5 ends of the game 1-2 at the 2020 BC Junior Men's Championship here in Cranbrook. Welcome back to the 2020 BC Curling Men's Championship. We are in the 1-2 game after 5 ends of play. It is 3 for Longworth and 2 for Team Kotter. We had a chance to talk to Marc, as you heard. A couple little miscues there from the Team Kotter, but what's most important, as we talked about on the break, is the importance of controlling the front of the house, the front of the rings.
For sure, that's what Marc's going to be looking for now. Establishing a rock in the rings. He knows that Kotter's going to throw a corner guard again. They have in the last 2 times they've had hammer here, and again, it's a little bit deep in this one, and kind of creates some opportunities right off the bat here. You want to position that rock top 4 foot. So Rick Skowatski with the corner guard again.
So after 5 ends of play, Rick actually has a curling 92%, so a 10% lead over his counterpart, Cam. And both numbers still pretty good, Jared. 92 to 82. You can't complain with that, I don't think.
No, that's pretty good for sure. And you notice Team Kotter goes back with the corner guard in the same side that they attempted in the third end or the fourth end as well, Melissa. So something about the piece of ice or the way that one of their teammates likes to throw that rock, and that's the side that they seem to want to create some offense on.
And just while I have a moment again, I just want to thank Cranbrook BC and our co-chairs of this 2020 event, Rick O'Neill, Christine Knight. We are here at the Western Financial Place in Cranbrook. And of course, this event, Jerry, can't be possible without our Crow BC sponsors, the local sponsors, everyone, all the volunteers, the ice makers, everyone has done such a great job so far this week.
Oh, it's for sure. It's just been top notch. All the curlers have had so many good things to say about the event and treated very well. And Cranbrook has really put on a great show. So a little bit more of an aggressive approach here by the Kotter team. Longworth's got 2 rocks in the 4-foot. In the previous ends, we saw them looking at moving those rocks out and trying to get back to the corner guard. But being the 6th end and down a point, teams really start to look to get that control point and try to get that little bit of an advantage. So decided to throw the second corner guard up here now. Team Longworth's probably going to throw a guard on it, and so you might see a couple big run backs by Andrew coming up and see if we can clear those rocks out and use the corner guard. So I think we're going to see rocks in play here, Melissa.
I think so too, and you know, I think that's probably a good call by Steve Laycock, only because, as you said, they've tried the corner guard, the single corner guard, a couple of times so far. It hasn't worked, and you know, that definition of insanity, trying to do the same thing over and over again, and it's not working, right? So try something a little bit different. We only have 5 ends left now. You got to figure out how you're gonna, you know, break through, getting another 2 on that board.
For sure. It's kind of a little bit of the risk reward. They're putting a little bit more risk on the table now by allowing Team Longworth to establish 2 rocks in the 4-foot with a guard on it. But they're hoping the reward is a little bit better to maybe get a 2 or a 3-ender here.
Yeah. What's that? Yeah, it'll definitely cross.
So definitely want to get these rocks out of the 4-foot area. Run back by Andrew. This is really one of his strengths. He throws very hard, very straight, and if you can get this rock somewhere on the nose area, you should be getting some rocks moving.
So it didn't quite curl up enough, so we'll just get the guard off. So we'll see Marc Longworth probably throw exactly the same shot for Rob Nobart.
Yeah, he could peel a corner guard if he wanted now, but I think this is a good call too, to put a good guard on it and still keep the pressure on Kotter to make some good shots. So
Clean it, just clean it.
So Rob playing at 90%, also good numbers.
Oh, it'll curl.
Just clean, line's real nice.
Lots of nice late finish in this shot too.
Whoa, Mike.
And you could just see, as Mark alluded to, the guys are staying, Team Longworth, staying really light, really calm, really cool, and just, you know, just making some great shots out there. You wouldn't know that they haven't been in this position before.
No, for sure, yeah. They're handling themselves very well. They don't look tight at all. With that rock top 4-foot almost fully open, Steve's maybe looking at a little bit of making a play on that one now, leaving the guard up front and see if he can play a hack weight and kind of roll in behind it, maybe even make a little soft weight double and get those rocks out of the 4-foot area. So.
Close.
This one's got some curling to do, and I think this is what's important. You know, these are the shots you really, really want to keep your shooter in play. If you can get a nice roll and move things around, it forces Team Longworth, who's, you know, up a single point without here, they're not going to leave any of your rocks around.
No, Mark's going to be hitting anything he can see.
Yeah.
So Andrew, who just threw that one, is also at 90%.
So good battle at seconds today.
Yeah. And yeah, 90% seems to be a pretty common number. Third, Michael Longworth, also at 90. So.
Nothing. Just 10.
That real nice control weight there. That's just kind of the bumper kind of weight that they're looking for in most situations. And almost made the roll in behind.
Right, I agree. Sure. Forward. Okay. This will be patient.
Changing things up here a little bit instead of trying to hit that open one. They're looking at maybe coming down and hitting the one in the back forefoot and maybe rolling in behind their own corner guard. So.
Yeah, there's a couple of options here. Obviously, Jerry, they could play the one that's on the left-hand side of the sheet and, you know, maybe try the double or move it or hit and roll behind one of those guards. But Steve feeling right now that he can get a hit and roll with this one that's sitting back four. Obviously, his shooter will be behind the tee line after this shot. I mean, he also could freeze to it, but Team Longworth to have that short angle run.
Yep.
And he definitely doesn't want to leave him that.
Yep.
So really trying to find a way here to get their rocks in a position that Team Longworth can access them.
Yep. It's a pretty good shot here if you can get behind that corner guard.
So close. Almost got a perfect roll. There's a great look at it there. It looks like it's almost fully buried, but that corner guard, you know, with the way it curls, you should have no problem accessing that rock in the back eight.
Yeah, for sure. But even though that hit and roll, and even if Marc rolls back, now that rock is coming back into the back of the 8 foot. And that rock is actually going to become possibly a shot that Team Kotter can use to their advantage. So just a roll out and a roll back in is reduce that rock a little bit deeper in the house.
Good weight.
Yep.
And you know that's why that was played, right? That's Steve with his tactical ability, trying to get the play away from the center line, get it, you know, use the corner guard if you can. And if they ever nose this one, like you say, they'll have an opportunity for some points there to try and get in front of those. So is that one out of the rings? It is. What a
just got it out,
barely.
You were on the board.
So might have been a half shot, but it was a made shot for Marc Longworth. Or sorry, Mike. I think it was Mike Longworth throwing that one. It's a lot of Longworths out there.
Yep.
Well, only two, really. Let's be honest.
So looking for that little inside roll here. You actually can roll either behind the blue one on the center line, or even if it starts to curl up a little bit more, they got the option to roll behind two different guards here. So weight control here, I think, is going to be one of the keys. Andrew is such a strong sweeper and can keep that rock straight. You really don't want to overthrow the weight on these shots.
Stay close. Solid. Yep. Yes. Whoa, whoa.
Spin in.
Good.
Let's see. Looks like that one may have stayed in the rings. I think, Melissa, yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yep.
it spun back in, and it was an interesting, you know, interesting events there. They were actually trying to roll the other way, and Jim made the call about 3/4 of the way down and called them to sweep for straight to go the other way. But I'm not sure if there was maybe no weight call or just a little bit of miscommunication. And just having a look on the screen there, there's Taylor Reese-Hansen and Cam DeYoung, Nick Umbach, Jeff Guinard, looks like Cody Tanaka. Everybody that was in the event here this week now in the stands, enjoying the game.
Yep.
So it looks like it's accessible for Marc Longworth on the very, very outside 12-foot area.
Sure. And then we can judge it from there.
Yeah, he's going to be hitting this one, but I think no matter what Marc does, I think you're probably going to see Kotter's team go into the offense in this area here and either go around the corner guard or the center guard. I'd be very surprised if Jim hits this rock if it's in the back of the house or if it's a biter way on the outside like that.
Those aren't easy to hit, I tell you. It's a great shot by Marc Longworth.
Yeah.
So just at the skip battle, it's 82% for Marc and 80% for Jim Kotter right now. So definitely battling it out in the back end. So as you mentioned, Jim Kotter is now going to throw the intern clockwise rotation around that center guard.
Yeah, I think this is an important shot for Jim. He hasn't really had his draw weight the way he usually does, and you know, he makes a good one here, and it could kind of set the tone for the rest of the game for him and get that draw weight feel back. So They probably had a bit of a time to discuss that after the 5th end break with the team and just what they're seeing for times and weights.
We'll see if we can get a time here and figure out what the ice is doing from hog to hog.
Close.
You heard Jim say it felt close. Struggling a little bit so far.
Rope.
I got a 14-6 hog to hog. That should be pretty darn close. Maybe even a little deep.
Not bad. It's going to create a little bit of a opportunity here, but Marc looks at this now with that rock going kind of back button. That if he can freeze one in on there, he could really put the pressure on Jim. He could possibly steal a point or at least bring a force into play.
And these are one of those situations, Jerry, where as it's coming into the tee line, if you know it's going to be heavy, what's the absolute worst spot you want it to stop? And I'm actually very, very surprised that they didn't say something to maybe put that rock even another rock's width deeper.
Yep.
Because if you're sitting back button, as you said, if Marc Longworth freezes onto this one, there's really no scoring area available to Jim Kotter. So I was going to mention before Marc came down, though, and now he's having a look at it. You can see probably a couple of inches on the other side of the outturn side, and he could also pick it as well. But I almost like the freeze here.
I think it is a good opportunity, yeah.
Yeah,
I do.
agree.
It's the outturn draw is a tough spot for Jim to get through that hole. So even if Marc comes around top 4 foot on the in-turn side, you know, it kind of takes away the path to the 4 foot. That draw through the hole might not be quite as easy as you think.
It's not. Okay. No.
But we decided
It's not.
play the
I'm thinking it's minimal.
counterclockwise outturn.
Look at you go.
Probably like in around a hack weight. You can still save that shooter in behind the corner guard and force Jim to take one.
Inch more.
Marc was almost in his motion there
Yeah.
when he decided to ask for an inch more.
Well, it's good call on his part. The number one thing you can't do in this situation is hit the guard.
No.
You can hit it thin and roll out, but you hitting the center guard is not a good option.
No.
I would have liked to have seen Marc actually go down the other end and maybe have a look at the ice a little bit for himself, but he feels comfortable with his son putting the broom down, and this is going to jam probably and force. That's a great shot.
That's where Marc is so good, is that weight control, those little hack weight bumps and that. That's really where he shines.
So Jim Kotter needs to throw the high hard one here, and would love to blank this 3rd end in a row, the 6th end. So this is the final rock of the 6th end here at the 2020 Men's Curling Championships. This is the 1-2 game.
Yep.
And make no mistake, so we have our 3rd blank in a row. It continues to be Team Longworth leading Team Kotter 3-2. We'll be back after a couple of minutes here in Cranbrook. We are back at the Western Financial Place in Cranbrook, British Columbia, host this week of the 2020 BC Curling Championships. We are watching the 1-2 game of the men's side. Team Kotter, who finished first overall, versus Team Longworth. And Team Longworth with a 3-2 lead. Jerry, Team Kotter's trying. They're really trying.
You can't ever say that they didn't trying to just go up and down the sheet hitting. They're throwing up corner guards in every situation and trying to create offense. And I think it's just they're not quite executing quite to the level that they need to yet. But it doesn't take long if they get one good end and good execution, they can put a 2 or 3 on the board pretty quick. But good rock placement by Cam Weir's first rock, keeping that rock in the 4-foot in front of the tee line. And again, Mark's looking for the same theory here to kind of choke off the one in the 4-foot and throw a nice tight guard on it.
Can't hurt it.
And Melissa, we have some updates from the other games. In the 3-4 men's game that's going on between Montgomery and Tardy. Tardy picked up a big 3-ender in 6 to take a 5-1 lead playing the 7th end. And in the ladies, Melissa?
We have Team Work has a 4-2 lead over Team Brown. That is the 1-2 game as well. And Team Work actually has Hammer. So they're up 2 with Hammer in 7. And in the other game, the 3-4 game, we have a Team Daniels with a 4-2 lead over Team Richard. So a lot of good battles going on out there today, Jerry. And, you know, it's just a matter of, as you said, putting a string of good shots together in the course of an end can make or break this game.
Yeah, for sure. So the first corner guard that went up by Team Kotter there was just a little bit long. It's probably not in that good of a position. So their next one is to try to come around and still establish that corner guard up. Mark recognizing that. He can't take anything out yet in the free guard zone, so he's going to be throwing another one up. A tight one maybe around the guard or even just shorts.
It's out there. Out there.
Team Longworth has done the same thing. It's been a long time, I believe, since they've had Hammer. I think way back to the 3rd end, I believe they had Hammer. And they have established control in front of that house towards the center almost every single end. It's been absolutely picture perfect.
Yeah, for sure. I think if we would ask Mark at the beginning of the game if he would like to have a 3-2 lead playing the 7th end, I think he probably would have said yes. You know,
yeah, I think so too.
He wants to shorten the game up a little bit, and you know we've only got a few ends left to go here now. So. Run back by Andrew.
And just misses the one that's
Just
sitting
over
top button. Yeah, just a slight over curl. So unfortunately for Team Kotter, does leave the second guard up there, and it's getting pretty crowded on the one side of the sheet.
Oh, what are they doing?
I don't know. Looks good though.
Okay, a bit of opportunity here for Longworth. If Rob can get a nice guard up there again, they've really established a rock in the top button. So I think, you know, one of the keys too for Team Kotter here is, you know, they'd surely like to get a deuce, but giving up a steal, Melissa, is really something that they wouldn't want to have happen. So they have to make sure that they leave themselves a scoring area and a way to get 1 point. They can't bury themselves in trying to play so much offense that they don't have a shot at the end of the end.
And Steve Laycock obviously recognizing that, so he's going to ask Andrew Nuprin to play the double peel. And I agree, Jerry, it's getting so busy out just on that one side of the sheet. And right now, in order to score, you'd have to pretty much hit pin on the right-hand side of the sheet. So this is a good call. Try and open some stuff up.
And it will be leaving their 2 red stones in as short guards, too, that they could always use or run back at a later time as well. So definitely improve the situation there a bit.
No chance.
At least for Team Kotter, they do have their 3 red stones out front, right? They have something they can run back. But Team Longworth right now keeping the pedal to the metal, so to speak, and just trying to keep things going here. They're in a really, really good position right now, halfway through this 7th end.
So Michael here probably trying to come down, come around the red tight guard and maybe just kind of half bury in behind it. Take away the run back. This rock seems curling pretty good.
Oh,
Have
it's
to work on
curling.
it to get it by. But
Plan B. Nice call by Mark, just a little tick off when he knew it was over curling. So
yeah.
looks like Steve Laycock's going to play the run.
Important part of the sweeping there, Melissa. Some teams would just kind of may give up on that shot and not, but just by rubbing off on it and leaving your blue shot open now, Mark may be able to play his own run back at a later time, right? So the little things in the game mean so much to give yourself good opportunities as the end progresses here.
That's right. It's all about those little details that you just can't forget about, and that was, going back to the previous end where that rock ended up back button. They're actually fortunate for Team Kotter. They're fortunate that Team Longworth didn't freeze to that, because I don't know if he would have had a shot to score. So always paying attention to the little details here makes big differences in winning or losing a game. So this is Steve Laycock. He's going to play actually the run back, I believe, on his redstone.
Whoa! Whoa! Yeah!
Play it on his own rock and see if he can get it to hit and stick. And
yeah! Whoa! Whoa!
it's close.
Good shot, got rid of the one. Rolled out in the open a little bit, might give Mark the opportunity to hit and roll back underneath.
Yeah, I'm not sure if, just watching this one come down, Steve threw nice soft weight on that and threw it really well, and they were kind of on and off it towards the end. So I'm not sure if they're just not putting the broom in the exact spot, or maybe their weight is a little different than what they're expecting, or something's going on out there. They're just off by a millimeter at this point.
Yeah.
Whoa! Whoa, Rob! No! Close.
Intern here by Michael.
Cam! Whoa! Rob!
Attaboy.
And a beautiful
What a
roll under.
fantastic shot by Marc Longworth. That is absolutely perfect.
Yeah. And rolling behind your own guard is so important. If they would have rolled farther and behind the two red ones, it would have maybe opened up an opportunity for the run back. But you see on the replay there, again, weight control. You can see how nice that rock finished at the end, and just that little 1 foot flip in behind. Well done. Really impressed with the Longworth team, like we mentioned a couple ends ago. They don't seem nervous at all out there in this situation. They look very much in control of what they're doing. So,
Yeah, they're very calm, cool, collected, and as you said, very much in control.
yeah.
And, obviously enjoying the experience as well. So right now it looks like Steve Laycock can maybe see an inch of this stone that was just thrown by Mike, and I think they're trying to go through that little port.
Yep.
Whoa! Whoa!
I think Andrew might have overcooked it a bit. They could have left that actually another couple of feet, but I think at the end of the day here, red is line one.
That's a good shot.
That's a really good shot by Steve.
It's well buried in there, and be very tough for Mark to ever try to draw through that hole. I think we might see him just draw around that center guard now.
You can just see the power sweeping of Andrew Nuprin. He held that thing almost the whole way and almost overcooked it.
Yeah, he's definitely a very strong boy. he can put a lot of pressure on that broom
He
for
sure
sure.
can.
What good is this going to do?
Yeah, I don't like trying to pick the hole with a draw, that's for sure.
Not the way it comes. It's a
Even if we make this,
Yeah.
he's wrapping one around there.
And what might happen too, Mike, is you might get this.
If not, maybe you
Looking to maybe
Well, if you hit a little
run
thicker
this
and
red
come
one
off there, I
back.
think
Maybe
you
they're
will get
looking
it,
at
right? You hit it
Melissa.
like here.
Just trying to have a listen to them here, Jerry. They are discussing, they talked about the come around,
Yeah.
but now it looks like
I
they're
think I
going to
got
try
it.
and play the run. And maybe if it doesn't curl enough, they might have some options
What's
with
the
it.
benefit of this?
Open it up and make.
Yep, for sure. I think
You
they
shot
can maybe
rock. If
come
you don't
through the
make
hole
something,
and maybe come off their own blue and roll into the rings too. But
You know, coming around there, you
I
give
think
me
one of the
chance.
keys though is if they don't really get that rock out of the
Yeah.
back and
This-
leave it
this keeps-
guarded, it's going to
Trying to
give Jim the
One down
opportunity
play
to
needs-
kind of come around that
Yeah.
center guard and lay two buried. So
You know,
three
even
could
if you
come
make
into
that
play
perfect,
really
he's wrapping
quickly
one
here
around
if they
there
don't get
Then we got to run back.
some results out of this shot.
he's
For
only
a
got
couple.
couple. It's fine. That's what I mean.
What? Yeah. What about that? Just advance that.
Ours?
Yeah.
No. You got to make it perfect.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
They just
Yeah, I think so.
decided for the run back here.
So yeah, they're looking at running this
There's no hole.
straight back onto this
There's
one
no
if they
hole.
can and removing that stone
So-
from play.
You know,
They talked about the
Just
come
don't
around.
nose.
I think Rob
I
came
think
down
that's
to have a
really bad thing.
conversation. Is this a better shot, or even to run
Exactly.
this red stone or this blue stone in as
Yeah.
well, running your own in instead of an opposition stone. So a couple of options that, good on Rob Norbert there for coming down and saying his very first question is, what is the purpose of this? What are we trying to get out of this? And I heard Mark say that, if we give up 2 here, we have hammered down 1, in the 8th end, the all-important 8th end.
Yep, for sure, yeah.
So looking for some good things to happen on this shot.
Yeah, and this is when the key, like they discussed basically 3 different shots, but this is when the team has to buy into the shot that we're playing right now.
100%.
Everybody's on board. Everybody loves this shot, and everyone's doing their job to execute.
Nope. Nope.
Just maybe
No!
hanging out a little bit.
Really trying to get this one to curl. And as they thought, they might get some luck on it, but it actually goes straight back and jams it. So Team Kotter now line 1. He does open up the front, but pretty good opportunity here now for Team Kotter to perhaps establish a 2 late in this a 7th end.
Yeah, and the good thing was he opened up that back one. So worst comes to worst, Mark will hit that back one and the open one and give up a deuce instead of playing. He didn't want to give up 3.
You ended up on this side and you ended up here?
That line, yeah. Yeah.
So that's the 8 shape?
Yeah.
So Steve and Jim just having a conversation. They could obviously throw the intern clockwise around the center guard, but if you ever don't bury it and you leave a double, that's not a good thing. So they've elected to go with away from the center line and just keep their rocks as far apart as possible. And if they can just even them out and not give Marc Longworth any kind of double here, they should have a good chance here for 2.
Yep, good opportunity here for Jim. He had a good draw weight on his last one in 6, so hopefully he can replicate that and put this one in front of the blue one.
Back 4. Let it work. Small tap. Clean. Clean. Tapping.
Need to tap it. Need to tap it. Have to tap it.
You hear the front end saying this one has a few extra legs on it, so they almost need to tap it. This is looking okay for line.
Came down nice.
What a great shot by Jim Kotter.
Very nice.
Beautiful shot. So not too much I don't think that Team Longworth can do right now. They can try and hit and roll maybe half behind that blue guard.
Might be able to roll for a shot, I think, Melissa.
I think so,
Yep.
yeah. They want to try and make Jim's last
I
shot
think it'll run out pretty good.
as difficult as possible, obviously. Just a quick update in the 3-4 game. Team Daniels has actually stolen 4 points in the 7th end, so they have an 8-2 lead after 7 against Team Richards, Team Brett Richards. And in the other game, Team Work putting 2 more on the board, so it's 6-2, Work over Brown in that 1-2 game.
Hard, go
If
hard.
things continue to go as they are, we will be seeing potentially Team Brown playing Team Daniels in the semifinal tonight here in Cranbrook.
Get the roll. Get the roll.
And a roll out there to give Jim his opportunity for 2. And in the men's 3-4 game, Montgomery scored 1 in the 7th end, and score there is 5-2 for Tardy, playing 8, and Tardy has last rock.
And whenever given the opportunity, if you have the chance to ever to throw the same shot twice, you throw the same shot twice. A lot of people maybe would change the turn and throw the in-turn, come around the other way, but Jim just made a perfect draw on his first one, so he's going to follow the exact same path. The sweepers know it, he knows it, and he just has to come down to his rock, full 8 foot, and he put 2 on the board.
Clean.
Something the everyone likes to hear when the rock's released is
Curling a
T-line,
little more.
meaning the weight is pretty well exact what they
Clean
want.
it.
So
Clean it.
Just 8 foot.
Clean
just
it.
8. Don't need to tap. We don't need to tap.
and great weight there again for Jim. Good confidence builder from four there. Get to throw 2 rocks down the same path and yeah.
What a great shot. So there it is after 3 tries. He puts 2 on the board. Team Kotter with a 4-3 lead after 7 ends. Here in Cranbrook, we'll be right back. Welcome back to the 2020 BC Curling Championships. We are live here in Cranbrook, BC at the Western Financial Place. It is Melissa and Jerry bringing the broadcast live to you. It is the 1-2 game, Team Kotter versus Team Longworth. Team Longworth just playing outstanding out there, but they have given up a deuce now in the 7th end. So it is now 4-3. Team Kotter with a slight lead over Team Longworth. So we'll see some different things happening out there this end, Jerry.
Yeah, just a little bit of the role reversal when you're 1 up compared to 1 down. The roles are the same for the other team. So Jim obviously trying to establish one in the 4-foot area and put a guard on it, and Marc Longworth's team throws up the corner guard there. So
and there were some good conversations in that last end. You know, Rob Nobert came down, had a conversation with Mike and Marc. They had a couple of different options on Marc's last one. They could have, or sorry, his first one I believe it was. They could have played the run. They could have played the come around. They wanted to try and figure out how they could, you know, not give up 2. But the key there is that they didn't want to give up any more than 2. They were okay with giving up a deuce, retaining hammer in the 8th end, down 1.
yeah, for sure. It's pretty well, I guess you'd almost call it, if you looked at the percentages of winning, it's pretty close right now, I would think, between the two. You know, our percentages of winning be pretty close between the two teams at this point. So Marc's got an opportunity now with that tight guard not quite getting up on top of the one in the 4-foot. He wants to move that rock out of that zone, just kind of bump it to just through and roll to the corner.
Closer.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep, Mike.
Easy.
Yep. Right up.
Yep.
Here's where the nice weight control comes in.
Nice shot there by Cam.
Still has their phone on. Just a little quiet.
Eighth end, Melissa, is always such a pivotal end to coming in. Like the way it sits right now, Marc, in theory, might have 2 hammers to Kotter's 1. So he wants to definitely try to use this to get the lead. If he can get a deuce here, if Longworth can get a deuce, that really sets the team up quite well, playing the 9th end being 1 up. So.
Come on,
That's very true, and that's what you look at. You look at the 10th end, you almost reverse engineer what you want to be in the 8th end, what do you want it to look like in the 9th end, in theory, right? In theory.
The finish line is in sight. So
that's right.
Nice little roll there by Andrew in behind. So again, Marc doesn't look like he wants to put a lot of risk on the table right at this part of the end anyway. As it progresses, he might, but he's still making sure that he's going to have himself a shot on his last one, like trying to keep the center line open a bit.
Made a bad move.
And this is interesting, Jerry, because we just talked about the fact that in theory, Longworth has 2 hammers to 1. If you ever want to, blank this 9th end or 8th end, pardon me, if you look at the scoreboard and you do some scoreboard management, there's been 3 deuces on the board, but there haven't been a lot. There was a lot of blank ends there. So Marc hasn't had hammer here for a number of ends, I think 4 ends. So he has to be really careful here that he doesn't change his tactics too much. They were doing really, really well, sort of keeping their foot on the gas pedal. But now it looks like they're trying to be a little bit more maybe defensive.
Yeah, or just making sure they score 1. So, yeah. And Steve Laycock there recognized now that through the free guard zone area, if they can just basically hit everything, appeal everything here, and not give Marc a chance to score a 2, even if Marc blanks the end, he's probably not. That's not a horrible situation, right? So, again, it's really kind of setting yourself up for that 10th end is what they're looking for now. Marc realizing that Steve Laycock will probably be peeling it. He's going to throw some corner guards up for a little bit yet. And
Whoa.
so important exactly where you position these corner guards. That's a really good spot about in there for it. With the amount of curl you have, if it's a long guard, it's the rock that if you eventually get behind it, is accessible. So positioning of those corner guards is very important. Steve Laycock here with the counterclockwise out turn peel.
I think you've got it, Jer. I think so.
Clean. Yep.
And Jim's now going to try and actually roll this one into the rings. What a great shot by Steve.
Mine moved pretty good there.
That worked out very well.
Yeah, that actually can change the whole way this end goes. Now the force is in play. It might Marc has either got to try to get out of it this way or create a deuce in some situations. So
yeah, most definitely here. That was just a great roll for so many reasons, and like you say, now the force is on. So Team Longworth, that's the last thing they wanted. They didn't really want to be forced here in 8 and be tied going into 9 without hammer.
Yes.
Come on, bud. Keep it going.
throw by Michael, trying to group the rocks together a little bit.
And you know that Team Kotter will be looking to do the absolute opposite. They're going to try and roll their shooter away from the center line and away from their other stone.
You might see Marc make a little bit of a move here, even if they roll this one over, leave it in the top 12 foot in or nose hit it. Marc might kind of even try to draw around one of these stones too. I think he's got to, if the force is going to be, you know, if the force is in play for him, he may want to take a little bit of risk here to try to get a deuce out of it if he thinks he's got a good spot.
And I think that's a good point at this, right now in this juncture. Is it risk versus reward? There's nothing in the 4-foot area, so there is opportunity for him, to use that rock that's top 8. That might be rolled a little bit too deep, but if it was a little higher, he could use it as a guard.
For sure, yeah.
But it looks like he's probably going to hit it. And that's maybe a safer call. If you get maybe 2 rocks, more in forward, then there might be a chance to throw that come around.
Yeah, and he might do it on his first one.
Whoa. Whoa. Whoa.
So jumpy.
Trying to roll it towards the other red stone, but just noses it. Marc Longworth.
And in the men's 3-4 game, playing the 8th end, Team Tardy was in quite a bit of trouble that end, but actually Tyler made 2 really good shots to manufacture a skip's deuce out of that. So now Tardy in control of that game 7-2.
Well, I think at one point we looked over there, Jerry, and I think Team Montgomery was line 4.
They were, yeah.
Yeah, 2 great shots, obviously, by Tyler.
Clean. Clean.
Great shot there by Jim Kotter.
Yeah, by rolling out there, he leaves a lot less area to draw behind that stone, too. So he's still looking at that, I think.
I think so, too. Again, it's the risk versus reward. If the force is on no matter what now, he knows that. And if he happens to make a good one and Jim were ever to miss, gets his deuce. If he doesn't, he'll make his draw for 1.
Yeah.
So is it worth it? Maybe.
I would definitely.
I would too.
I would go around this one for sure. Yeah, he's got his. As long as he's anywhere behind, he can even with that other biter there. He can go even back 8 foot, or he doesn't even have to be shot rock. He could be second shot behind it to.
The only way to do is
just put a little bit more of a situation on.
This T line right here probably just peels it.
That's the corner guard ice, which was right about where that. Maybe even over a bit.
You need more with your upturn, right?
Yeah, it'll finish a bit for sure. That's lots. I think that's lots, yeah.
That's where Mark's just reading the ice so well, and he's, thinking back on previous shots that they've thrown down that track and exactly what ice he needs to get around this guard. So.
Yeah, that was a good conversation with Mike, just to say I've got lots, and again, you want to make sure that you have lots of room to get by. No point in flirting with that top red stone. Try and make Jim's shot as difficult as possible. This is Marc Longworth's first stone here in the 8th end.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Down by 1 with hammer.
Whoa.
Back 4, back 8. Back 4, back 8.
Hear the weight call. Back 4, back 8.
Back 8.
It's pretty good.
That's good weight.
Don't need to. Back 8. Back 8.
This was a spot, Melissa, that we did see earlier in the game was really quick. We saw some out-turn draws go through the rings in this situation. It looks like it's still pretty quick.
Yeah, that's the exact same spot, I believe, that Andrew threw one earlier through the ring. So that's might be, I don't know, Jerry, is that the first complete miss we've seen from Marc Longworth?
I can't remember
Pretty
one
close,
for sure. Yeah.
yeah.
So now a couple options for Jim. They can either try to take away a draw path that Mark might like, or you might want to throw in a piece of, get a piece of the 4-foot and make Mark throw a little bit of weight at it, and maybe in a spot that he thinks it might either run straight or curl a bit at the end. So they've had a little bit of trouble with hitting some rocks over on that side of the 4-foot. So I think that's where the Jim's decided to go.
Just like T-line's good.
This is a good call, as you said, Jerry. Just try and put it in a spot that you think is the most difficult for Marc Longworth to score, whether he throws the hit or throws the draw. you know, you want to kind of tease him a little bit to make him think about what he needs to throw here to score his point.
Take a look. Line's pretty good. Back tee.
You heard them say back tee. They just want it back, just behind the tee line.
Gotta go ahead.
Kind of use it again as the teaser, so to speak. And that's just absolutely
it's a good spot.
perfect. There's a great view from the upper level of people being able to watch this game. So, and here it is, Marc and Mike having the conversation. It's not as easy as it looks. Do you want to draw against 3, or do you want to try and hit and stick against 3?
Yeah, that's a lot of ice, Mike.
That way you're on the inside of it too, right?
No.
You want to throw
No.
forward?
If we're going to hit it, we're going to hit it with control, right?
Yep.
So I'm thinking Okay. Yeah. It'll finish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep it a little early.
You don't want to overthink this one, I don't think, Jerry.
No, but there's lots of different weight selections that he could throw at this, and I think Marc's throwing a good weight that he doesn't want that rock to over curl. It's a little bit of it does move pretty good in this spot, so if he underthrows it and say tried to throw a hack weight or something like that, there's a lot of late finish. So I think this kind of weight that he's throwing, more of a control weight, is his best call for if he's going to throw the hit. And I like this call.
I like this call. I like this weight because it does give your sweeper some ability to manage it.
Yeah.
You know, you heard him say to Mike, let's hit it early, like not right out of his hand, but let's hit it fairly early.
Hard.
Unless he's tight.
Whoa. Hard. Hard. Whoa. Whoa. Hard, Cam.
This one looks like it's curling a little.
I think that's what he's a little bit afraid of. He maybe underthrew that just a tiny bit.
I think so too. So they're going to have a look. It's 1 for Kotter for sure. And I'm not going to take the guess right now. Ugh. Okay, you take one, I'll take the other. I'll let you have first pick.
I'm going to go blue.
All right, I'll go red. Just because.
You have to.
I know I have to. I had no choice. Just for the viewers, I had no choice. So, yeah, you know, again, that was that conversation. We've had it before in terms of those easy shots. You have to make sure, and Marc did all the processes right? He
Yep.
talked about the weight. He talked to Mike. He knew that they wanted to hit it early, and it just started to curl. And I think he might have just been a little light out of his hand.
That's what I think, yeah. For a control weight, I think he was maybe more
weight.
down a little bit more the bumper side. So, Daryl Curtin, the official, out to measure these two.
So right now it's 1 on the board for Team Kotter, a steal of 1. And they are measuring to see if it's only 1 or if it's going to be 2 for Team Kotter. And here we go. And it's red.
Steal of 2.
I was right.
You it's those young eyes.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
And there it is. It is a steal of 2, so 2 on the board. When we come back, only 2 ends left here at the 1-2 game 2020 BC Curling Championships. Welcome back to the 2020 BC Curling Championships. It has been a battle out there, and look at this. We are watching the mayor, Lee Pratt, who's here watching the action at the Cranbrook Curling, or we're at the Western Financial Place. I got to get that right, in Cranbrook, BC. And so welcome to Lee Pratt for joining us today. It has been quite the battle out there, back and forth, and you know, before the 8th end, Jerry, I don't know, and I say it again, I don't know if we had seen Marc Longworth make a complete mess until his first shot.
Yeah, he's played very well, and those were kind of a couple, you know, to Marc to throw his first one through the rings and then hit and roll out on his last one. Unforced errors and something that puts the team in a bit of a hole for sure. Now 3 down against a team like Kotter is you really got to get things going to, but still doable. 3 points are on the board, and lots of teams have scored 3s this end, and even if he gets a deuce and try to steal one in the 10th end as well. So we do have one final today already in the men's side. The Team Tardy has defeated Team Montgomery 7-2. So Tardy now will advance to the semifinal game against the loser of the Kotter Longworth game here. And
that's such a good point that you've made there, Jerry. You know, it's a little bit of a bad break for Team Longworth. They've been playing so well this game. And to give up that steal of 2, and like we said, they went through all the processes, but things happened. He was just maybe a little light out of his hand and it overcurled. But what's really important here is the ability just to rebound from that little mistake. Try and put at least 2 on the board here. If he can put 2 on the board and set himself up in good position to steal in the 10th end, he's still right in this game. So it's not a far cry being down 3 here in 9.
No, for sure. And they've got a little bit of an advantage here too. Rick Sawatsky doesn't very often throw them in the back 8 foot, but he's got a couple rocks in the back that Marc may be able to use to his advantage as his end progresses as well.
So just giving you a quick update as well. Of course, we have the 2 women's games on the ice in the 3-4 game. Team Richards actually cracked a 3-point end in the 8th end, so they are now down 8-5, and Team Work with a 6-3 lead over Team Brown in the 1-2 game. Both of those games are in the 9th end of play.
Good job by Andrew there, getting a rock kind of established in the top of the 4 foot, something that Marc's got to move, but he probably won't be playing too many takeouts at this point. He's going to, with those rocks at the back, he might be looking just to bump this one back and create a little bit of a wall back there, and if he can get a hit or a stick in there somewhere, then he wants to bring those corner guards into play. But just looking to kind of move these rocks back a little bit and stay in front of them.
Where is it?
And those were 2, you know, miscues by Rick Sawatsky. Actually, he's was curling 95% coming into that 8th end.
Room! Whoa!
So Rob's having a good game here. He's at 92% after 8 ends of play.
What a nice shot by Rob Nobert. He is having a fantastic game.
Yeah, I don't mind the peel. Okay. Peel. We'll just bring the rocks to the middle.
Okay.
Good call, I think, here. Peel this rock out of play. They've got, even though the Reds have got 2 in there at the back there, it's going to come to eventually he wants to use those corner guards. So he's going to peel this one off and let Marc maybe make another play on it, maybe hopefully set up a double or something.
I was never worried.
Andrew Nuprin for Team Kotter playing at 89%.
Same weight?
Same weight?
Yeah, just move this right to here.
Okay.
So it looks like Rob's just being asked to throw pretty much the exact same shot, maybe a couple extra feet. If they can ever tap that blue stone of his just onto the face of a red stone, it's going to be really hard, I think, for Team Kotter to try and remove both of those stones.
Mike!
Keep it out there.
Yep!
Yep, hard!
Mike!
Cam! Whoa!
You heard them say keep it out there. They're trying really hard to keep it
line, guys. You swept the line out.
Straight, and it looks like they almost, I think they overswept it, did they? In
Yeah,
terms
maybe
of
it didn't
line,
quite
maybe in
curl
terms
as
of
much,
line,
yeah.
yep.
The
Weight
trouble
was
is,
perfect.
Melissa, when you start getting the rocks grouped together like that against a team that can hit like Kotter, there's a lot of opportunities there for doubles, and you have to be very, very precise in your shot making to create the right angles and the right freezes.
Well, and that's one of the things we talked about. I think it came up early in the broadcast, Jerry, is that, you know, you work so hard to put up a corner guard. Not only did they put up one, they put up two. They had the opportunity with that one just sitting where it was in front of the red stones. Why not come around, you know, your corner guard and try and keep your rocks far apart? Because if, you know, like you just said, this is what Team Kotter wants. They want you to group your stones
For
so
sure.
they can throw the high hard one and off they go.
Yep.
Whoa.
Steve Laycock's at 84% after 8 ends. Good, solid game.
Okay.
And again, it's the same thing we just talked about, Melissa. Maybe just leave that situation for Jim.
Time out.
And going around that corner guard, he can get to, even though it would be for fourth shot, it's still a rock that's in the rings, and let Jim deal with that rock in the top of the forefoot there.
Yeah, that's what I think. So they've called a timeout, so we're going to have a listen and see what the discussion is.
Move back, guys. Nerf's down here for a reason. I'm just thinking that that angle means he has to hit it nose or hair high side, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're
If we
throwing
go,
away, right?
and there's a triple there if we pound that on the nose, and even if we didn't pound it on the nose, even if we went around the corner and he peeled,
Yeah, then we hit it.
we hit it, make the double, and sit on top.
Yeah.
I think that's the right call to go around the court.
I think so. I think you're
Yeah, yeah. We could tap. I think it'll go in there. I think.
Yeah, it'll go in there for sure. Look at how.
Yeah, we
Kemp
just want to
got
go
one
T
around
line
there.
though, right?
Yeah.
We just want to go T line.
Yeah.
I think they come around.
We can't
It'll be even
behind the
with
tee because
Or higher. As long as
Yeah,
it's
we
strong.
got to be at least
Like I
even.
say, the hit and roll that way jams, right?
Yeah.
So okay.
But we don't want to leave it open and give them the double.
No.
off mark.
no, it's
Yeah.
just got to be touched.
T. Yeah.
I like it. Yep.
Oh, great conversation there, I think, Melissa, right? They looked at all the options, and I totally agree that going around the corner guard is the right call here. When you look at the odds of them making the come around compared to kind of hitting that blue one and rolling behind their own corner, it's a much higher opportunity to get a rock behind there by drawing into that area.
Yeah, I fully agree. You know, and I love that conversation. I love the fact that Marc was, you know, sort of making the suggestions. It just shows his veteran leadership ability and just his tactics and just his, you know, just everything about it right there. Just leading the young guys and saying, you know, this is what I think and these are the reasons why, and they're all bought in.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
We're pretty good. Just
the
tee.
signs of a very experienced good skip. Yeah.
Whoa, it's Rob. Rob, you got to make a move here at the end. Where are you?
We're just tee. Just tee.
We're there. Yeah, go Rob.
Go, go.
Want to keep
Come
this
on,
one, get it
come
deep
on.
enough so they don't allow the double,
on,
which
get it
they've
in.
done.
Real nice, Mike.
That looks like a fantastic shot.
Makes Team Kotter a little bit of a different situation for them now. They don't have an easy rock to hit.
Not all bad though. Not all bad.
No.
They
I think
could.
we got to chase it.
Rock looks to be what, Melissa, half buried. It's probably a bit of, you know, it's not an overly difficult shot with it, half of it open, but still brings a bit of difficulty into play here.
You have a good half.
Yeah, and you heard Andrew say they have a good half, and you know, Jim, you know, having to look around saying that they, you know, you have to chase it. Obviously, you don't. The other one's not really going to help you in any way at this point, and if you jam it, you have a 3 in play. So try and go for this one for any reason, and if you were to tick the guard, you might have something lucky happen, but
Yep.
you can see enough of this to make it go away.
Yep. Hard! Hard, Nerd! Hard!
Andrew's going hard on this one.
Hard! Right to it! Good.
What a sweep by Andrew Nuprin. Say thank you, Steve.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
And Andrew made that shot. There is no doubt about that.
There's no doubt about it. Look at that brush. He absolutely pounded that thing. Wow.
Lock it onto here. Yeah. So I think you got.
Yeah, not too many sweepers can keep the rock that straight.
That's funny, Jerry. I actually almost thought that was you out there. Like, you looked almost like that, did you not?
Just back
A number of years ago. I mean, well, no, I never was quite built like Andrew, let me tell you.
So it looks like Mike Longworth is being asked here to just throw tap weight. He wants to tap his bluestone into the pocket of those two reds.
Yep.
And leave a shooter in a good spot. If you can tap this on the right angle, I don't think there would be any kind of double.
Yes, Cam.
Yeah, it's a good opportunity here still.
Very
Remember,
good.
he's just really looking to manufacture it too.
Whoa. Whoa.
Pretty good.
Not bad.
I think that's a really good shot.
Jim might be able to come off it and make the real thin double there, but
Well, even if we miss this, we make this and sit there.
Once we get a chance
Right?
here, there it is there. If you have a look at it, I think you could be right. If you,
Yeah.
Jim comes down and hits this really thin,
No.
it should be able to push that way and that way. I mean,
Yeah.
there'll be some contact obviously here.
but it's going to create lots of spin
It's
on
going
that
to create
blue rock.
exactly. Yeah.
This rock might be coming.
I think you might want to watch your feet on this one for sure. And just a quick jump over to
Yeah,
the
just
3-4
like
game. It
3
is a
and 4.
final now. Team Daniels
worry about it,
defeating
we make
Team
the other-
Richards
we make it the other way.
10-5. So Team Richards has been eliminated from competition, and Team Daniels will play in the semifinal of the loser of the Team Brown teamwork game, which is still going on in the 10th end. And here's the high hard one here by Jim. Looking for a very thin double. And I think he got every single rock moving, but the blue one did jam, so it's still in play. Shot rock. I'd like to see a replay of that one. He almost maybe hit it just a titch too fat, eh? Is that right,
I
Jer?
think so, yeah. He probably had to hit like an inch or so to probably make that shot.
All right, so an opportunity here now for Marc Longworth to throw a draw and sit 2.
Still 15 and a half.
Still.
Sorry, 14 and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And that's what we want.
Front end just
Just clean it.
confirming
We
the
just wanna
times
put it
are
on the tee
still
line.
the same, 14 and a half. So draw weight's been so consistent through this whole game, and that's great to see.
Shut off your phone.
So, you know, down 6-3 and scoring a deuce in 9, you're giving yourself a chance, Melissa. He hasn't scored his 2 here yet, but if he can manufacture this, he's still right in the game coming home.
No.
Weight's real good.
No.
Mark's thinking it's a little bit heavy, but front end's.
I think they're confident to
yeah,
know they need to
they're-
put nowhere to put it, so Mark's just got to relax a bit and let the front end do their job.
Don't want to come too deep here. You might set up a double.
Go.
Or not even get.
Keep going.
Oh,
It did slide.
It did. The boys weren't really touching it, though. They were just more or less cleaning it.
Yeah.
And I think it is 4th shot, Jerry.
Yeah, I think you gotta turn your wrist back on the real straight. The other
Yeah.
I think it's 4th.
You roll right onto it. Your nose is pretty good. Well,
good too, yeah.
nose he might have that. He might. Yeah. We got to roll. We roll to there.
So Jim's looking just to where he can roll to maybe not set up a triple. So
I like it.
I think if he does hit it on the nose, he could maybe leave a triple. I think he rolls to the inside a bit. He should be fine.
I agree. I think he needs to roll a little bit anyways. Just a little towards center, and as they said, you can almost sweep this one aggressive because if it doesn't curl enough, you could roll it quite a far over towards that blue one that was just thrown
Center line.
by Marc
Or
Longworth. So a
over there,
couple of
sorry.
options here for sure.
Roll little.
Yeah.
Solid control.
This is the last stone here for Jim Kotter in the 9th end. They have a 3-point lead.
Right to it. Good, good.
And right on the nose.
Good sweeping notice there where Andrew even changes sides on takeouts. He's such a strong sweeper, he can change from one side to the other depending on which turn that the team Kotter's throwing there.
So Mark and Mike just having a look here.
Well, we have to.
You have to
We
hit.
have no choice. One kills us.
So again, playing the scoreboard, Mark's
It'll
looking
spin.
at really,
It'll spin a bit.
really trying to
I
manufacture a
think
deuce
you
here.
have to throw like bumper up. I think you have to throw bumper up, Mike, and just get him out of the.
Need a miracle.
Otherwise, you spin. Your shooter spins, right? No, I agree. It's either that or you, yeah.
So having a look at this, I mean, it looks like they can just hit it just slightly high side, Jerry. They want to be able to get that one enough that it just spins out here and maybe just moves that one a tad, but they have to keep their shooter in play. So that's why he's talking about the bumper up, because he needs to keep his shooter in play. But you have to remember, you have to move 3 rocks as well.
Yep. He doesn't. If he can move them all just to well out of the 12-foot area, he may be able to save the shooter there. Yeah. This is all about weight control, and probably in a piece of ice, it's a little bit hard to anticipate how much curl he's going to get. Like they said, they can read the scoreboard, and then they know that if they only get one here and being 2 down, that's a really tough situation for them for sure.
Will that hold with wall?
And Mark's called a timeout just to take a little bit of time to look at this a little bit more.
I think you got to hit this.
This is obviously a huge shot. He, like you said, he doesn't want to just get one here. He's trying to figure out the best way to get 2. So he's bringing Rob and Cam down to just line it up.
In which
see
case,
how we can figure it out here.
That would be enough. There, but you got to hold your shooter. No.
Roll to here.
Yeah, you get a flat roll.
It's just the weight you got to throw to
I
make
think you got to throw hard.
No, you got to hold your shooter.
I know. But if you
everything's out of the 12. Just
I know.
And you can't roll too far.
So
like
what are
I
you
think
thinking for
board into the handle, like here, with board weight.
Just high side, right?
Well, you got to hit it into the you got to hit 2/3. Otherwise, you're going to roll too far, and you got to move that stuff there, just out of the 8-foot. And the shooter's got to roll just to the edge of the 8.
So do you think if you go just into the side here, that's just gonna stop, right? Or does it roll enough?
Here's our advantage.
Well, you could throw bumper up maybe, and hit 2 inches of it, and it might spin.
Just on the outside of the 2.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's either that or we're 2 down without.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And
you
don't
gotta
like that?
try this.
Yeah. Okay.
This is it. This is it, right?
Okay. So here. And I think you got to throw bumper up, eh?
Yeah.
I'm kind of agreeing. I know Rob came down and we sort of laughed that you have to throw it hard. I don't think you have to throw it hard, but you have to move 3 stones. And even if you're moving in the last one only a couple of inches, right? You still have to move 3 stones. So I'm not sure bumper's enough. Bumper up might be okay.
Yeah, I don't think Hack would do it in that situation for sure, because you got to remember you're hitting that first rock at a bit of an angle too, and that takes a little bit of weight off it. So yeah, I agree that bumper up in that area there, and
yeah, I'm thinking you need at least bumper up, but
half an inch high side.
So you're just hearing it. They're talking about maybe hitting half an inch high side. There's a great look at it. So just high side.
Too much high side, I don't think you'll spin it.
Yep.
The biggest thing is they got to try to throw you just bumper up, right?
Yep.
And you got to pound it. Cam, I think. Mike, hold it early. I think it'll finish late.
Last minute instructions there from Mark to Mike. Hold it early means let's get on it early and keep it straighter as long as possible before it makes its break. So here we go. This is the last stone in the 9th end for Marc Longworth. They are down by 3.
Good board.
Whoa, 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 whoa!
Whoa! Whoa!
Forward.
Rob! Rob!
Gonna get to curl a bit there.
He's close. Oh, great try. Great try. So it is only, or actually it's a steal of one, pardon me, a steal of one for Jim Kotter. He has a 7-3 lead after 9. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to the 2020 BC Curling Championships. We are joined at ice level with the winning skip of the 1-2 game here in the championship, Jim Kotter. Jim, how are you doing?
Doing much better now.
You showed a lot of patience there. What was going on out there? There was, you guys tried really hard to get a deuce, but it took a while.
It did take a little while. The ice was a little faster today. We missed a few shots early. We're a little heavy. We decided to bring the sweepers back into the game in the second half, and that seemed to work a little better.
Yeah, for sure, Jim. You mentioned the sweeping end of things, and that was a real key part of the game. We saw one shot that Andrew kept straight for you in the 8th, 9th end there, and that's a big part of the game. And like Melissa said, the patience, and your team, I think, got better as the game went on.
Yeah, like I said, we came out a little flat. We tend to be a second half team, so we made some adjustments after the 5th end break there, and yeah, just got our draws in a little better place. Just started playing a little, just playing better. Started to make more shots.
Yeah, your numbers were good for sure, Jim, and you guys, I mean, both teams are playing very, very well. But patience is the virtue, and that was definitely the key to that game. What do you see going forward? You guys are now in the final of the BC Championships. It's not till tomorrow afternoon. So what's the plan?
Yeah, we'll probably check out some curling tonight. Obviously, the semifinal goes here tonight, and we'll just see if the ice conditions stay the same. It was definitely a little quicker here tonight, and then yeah, we'll get a good night's sleep, and we'll go through our same routine as we've been doing all week. Hit the gym, maybe the pool, and stuff like that, and make sure we're staying hydrated and eating well and doing all that fun stuff.
Awesome. Well, we wish you the best of luck in the final tomorrow, Jim. We look forward to broadcasting that game with you. We are going to head back to the Czech studio. Stacy and Jeff, back to you.